Hi everyone! Welcome to week 9 of our 2017 Home Organizing Challenge. Join me here every week and I'll give you a simple task to focus on throughout the week and you'll baby step your way to a more organized home. This week we are continuing our focus on paper organization and we are going to get your school papers organized. Hooray! Everybody complains about all the papers that are coming in through the door in school backpacks or just folders and binders and all of the different things that are coming home. Some of those need to be returned, some of them are staying home, hopefully not forever. And this week we are going to be really laser focused on getting those papers organized. So the first thing that I want you to do this week is to set up a sorting station similar to the mail sorting station that we did last week. So if you weren't in on that video, go ahead and watch week 8, which was our mail sorting station, and you want to follow the same process for your school papers. I love a good horizontal organizer for this because what it has is the ability for you to label the front. You could either label it per kid if you have multiple children. Each one would get their own slot. Don't forget a slot for mom because mom has a lot of papers that come home, right? You need to sign permission slips or letters from the teacher, or if they're having a birthday party and you're going to send in treats, you need to let them know what it is. So make sure that you have a slot in whichever organizer you use. Now you could either use a horizontal organizer that sits on a desktop or a countertop or a table. You could also use a wall hanging unit similar to what we looked at last week when we went vertically up a wall. So if you don't have room on a countertop, that's okay. You could always hang something on your wall and use that as your sorting station. Now, each category needs to be set up not only per child, but also think about the action that that paper is going to have. What's the next step for that paper? So is that a paper that needs to go back to school? If so, you need to have an action category, back to school or return or something like that. Whatever word is going to jog your memory so that you know that that is not staying in your home for long. So you also want to have a paper homework section. So that way, when you're opening that backpack and you have that big mess, right? That's what happens. They just throw all those papers in. Well, every evening when you're going through those papers, instead of just making a big pile on your table, we're getting rid of the piles. You're going to start putting those papers in here. So you could have, a category set up for your children, a homework category, meaning this is homework that needs to be done and going back to school, or maybe artwork. So if they've already done it, they're bringing it home and you can just put it in here until you have a chance to go through it. All right, so set up that sorting station. It is going to help tremendously. Those, permission slips and field trip information are no longer going to be lost at the bottom of a pile on your kitchen table. So now let's talk long-term storage. So what happens when everything comes home, it's not going back to school anymore, and you have to figure out what to do with it? Some people just get a big old plastic tub with a lid and they throw everything from that year in, and that is, what they consider being organized. And that's great. If that works for you, then wonderful. Don't change the system. But if you're trying to get, away from that, if you say, I've been doing this tub thing for years and I'm running out of room for tubs, I just want to show you a couple different options of what you can do. But the first step starts with you and your children and realizing you can't keep every single piece of paper. So the first step is always to keep less than what you want to keep, unfortunately, because we just don't have room for all of it. So as you start to weed through that category of artwork, right? So this beautiful piece of artwork that maybe they scribbled on, do you want to keep it? Is it special to you? Do you need it? If so, then let's find a place for it. This is one option. You could use a binder. So we've used a binder here, and this just has plastic, sheet protectors, and all of the artwork is in here. So this is one option that you could do, and you can have one set up for every single year. And this is not everything that came home. This is just what was decided that we were going to keep. You could also do a file box. So you could have a file box that's set up per child. So each child could have their own file box, and maybe you use hanging folders for every year. So you could have one for kindergarten, one for first grade, and so on and so forth. Or you could have a large file box like this one, And if you have multiple children, you could have, each child has their own section. So, your first child would have kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, all the way through, and then the second child, same thing there. So it just depends on what you have room for and what your preference is. Now, one other option I want to share with you, because now we're in the digital age, a lot of people are taking pictures of the physical papers that are coming home, and then you have a digital file of that physical piece of paper, and you can get rid of that paper. And what you can do with a digital file is you can make a photo book. Think about every year, instead of having this big bulky binder that needs to be stored, you could make a really thin photo book, right? A nice little photo album of all of the artwork that came home that year. So, that's one other avenue that you could go, especially if space is really limited, but you want to hold on to those memories. All right, well, that's it. I want you to spend 15 minutes every day this week just digging into those school papers. If you are one of the families that just has bins and boxes of just papers thrown in, you have no idea what's in it, take the lid off and start going through those this week. Get a system in place for going through those papers pretty much every night, because sometimes the paper doesn't make its way home until today, and that permission slip that they got a week ago is due tomorrow. So make sure you get into the habit, you and your children, of going through your backpack every night and sorting out those papers. All right, everyone, have a great week, and if you have any questions, leave me some comments, and I'm happy to help as always. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.